What's up, everybody? I go by the name of Doggie Diamonds. This is Doggie Diamonds TV, but this is a part of the rundown, but this is the story time version. So this is one of the most popular interviews of all time that I did. Kind of like set the trend for how interviews were done, where people felt a little bit more compelled to just go in. Like besides, this might have been before beef DVDs and all that. I'm not sure. What might have came out before this, but I know that this was just something completely different. This was just a special interview. So a lot of people don't know this was my second interview that I actually did with commercials coming in. We don't want commercials coming in right now. Let's skip the commercials. A lot of people don't know this was my second interview that I did with Max B. The first interview I did is when he did the Blow Me a Dub video with Jordan. And on that set, we did the interview for when he did the Blow Me a Dub video. And if you never saw Blow Me a Dub, I think it might still be on YouTube, but I know they debuted the video on World Star. But it did numbers on there. So when I approach him, well, let me give you the backstory how I end up meeting up with him. So Fendi calls me. I was staying in Brooklyn I was about to say the street, but I was in BK, of course, and Fendi called me and said, "Yo, you want to interview Max again?" And I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Yo, he wants to go in." Now, if you didn't see the first interview we did from Blow Me a Dub, he never explained who he was going in on. He was like alluding that he was mad at somebody, but he wouldn't say who he was mad at. And I was trying to extract it from him like, "Yo, what are you talking about?" So Fendi called me and said, "Yo, he want to go in." So I was like, "Okay, cool. When?" He was like, "Now." So I'm like, "Damn, I'm in the sty." So I'm like, "How the hell I'm gonna get to, where is he at?" He's like, "He's in Harlem." I'm like, "All right, cool. I gotta get to Harlem. And people think Brooklyn or Harlem is real close, but it isn't sometimes, because sometimes you could go the West Side Highway way. Sometimes, you could go different ways. And you can see my arm with the same bracelet on my arm. It just fits a little bit better now because my arm ain't as big as it used to be, my wrist rather. So Fendi says, "Yo, do you want to interview him?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "Where's Jordan?" Because Jordan Tower does all the camera work for the Come Up DVD. He was like, "Jordan don't want to do it." I'm like, "Why?" He said, "Yo, Jordan said it caused a lot of issues with Jim, so he didn't want to do the interview. He don't want to film it." So I'm like, "Okay, I get it. I get it filmed. Where is he?" Like, "He's in Harlem." I'm like, "I ain't cool." So I had my artist at the time, this with me. He was staying with me, and his man Kane, who's actually on the camera. He had a little purple hoopty with a dent in the door. So we was like, "Yo, we gotta go to Harlem and interview Max." Now at this particular time, Max B had G's Up with Jim. He had Baby Girl. He had all that. But he wasn't the wavy man that he ended up becoming. He wasn't this guy right here yet. He was about to be that guy. He had some dope collaborations, but he wasn't that guy yet. So I didn't know what was the make of the interview. I didn't know what was gonna happen with the interview. I didn't know that it was gonna be what it was. So we go to Harlem. So we go to 133rd and Lenox. So I'm like, Fendi sent me an address. Now I had a Trio phone at the time, I believe. I had Verizon. I had a Trio phone. I didn't even have a BlackBerry or nothing like that. So I'm calling Fendi like, "Yo, where he at?" He like, "Yo, that's his building." I'm like, "Yo, do you got a number on him? Tell him I'm here." Max is nowhere to be found. So I'm like, "Yo, he got like 10 minutes and I'm out. I ain't gonna be standing here waiting for him." And, because anybody who's done the interview thing, anybody who's done anything in this culture, these artists will have you waiting forever and they won't show up. So I was like, "Yo, I'm about to leave." So I waited like 15 minutes. I'm just standing there, but I'm thinking street. I'm like, "Yo, I'm a Brooklyn dude just standing on a block in Harlem, just waiting for somebody." Like, I look crazy, you know what I'm saying? So I told the homies, I was like, "Yo, we about to bounce." So as I say that, I look to the left and it's a hill on the block. And I see somebody walking down the block with their hair blowing in the wind like Priest from Superfly. And I'm like, nah, that ain't Max. The last time I saw him, he had braids with a hat. So he come walking down the street looking like this. Y'all was like, yo, I just couldn't believe who this guy was. I couldn't believe that this guy was walking down the street. His hair was blowing in the wind. And when I saw him, I was like, all right, the way he looked, this about to be a classic, because just the aura was on 1,000. His aura was on 1,000. He come walking down the street, hair blowing in the wind. And he's like, what up, Daddy? So, I was like, yo, you ready? He was like, yeah. And then we just, is what y'all see. We just no questions written. I didn't know what he wanted to talk about. This was just like, mind you, this is only the second time I ever saw this man in my life. And it was just me just talking to him, asking him questions. And then this just came, I'm gonna tell y'all something. If you do interviews and you do media, that part right there always tripped me out. I know this interview like the back of my hand, so I know what he's saying. That's Dame Grease, by the way, too. Shout out to Grease. I didn't know who he wanted to go in on. So when he started talking about Jim, we started talking about Jewels. I always thought he was good with Mel Murder. That's why I asked about Mel Murder. I didn't understand what was going on. But this is what came out. And it was just, after I left, I think the ride home, I was just like, yo, do y'all realize what we just captured? And I just knew, man, this is not HD. This is standard definition. This wasn't even, I didn't even have an HD camera. I think I had a Canon XL1, the white one that didn't even have, it wasn't even HD. And this is what we got. And it's just amazing that footage that look like this, that look old, that look, it ain't even crispy. It just came out to be like some classic footage. And the deep thing about it was, after the interview was over, there's one part in the interview where he said something about Chrissy that's omitted from the footage that, I wasn't really jacking that part. But you got to see the interview for yourself. But what happened at the end of the video, I was wondering if he got love in Harlem, because me not knowing any better, I'm thinking Jewels is in Harlem somewhere. I'm thinking Jim is in Harlem somewhere. So I'm like, yo, let's ride around Harlem. If you got the Harlem love. So at the end of this interview, we supposed to ride around Harlem, and we got separated. Mind you, I didn't have his number. I didn't have his telephone number. So when he at the end of this interview, he yo, come on. We was getting in the Hoop de Ville, and we was going to follow him around Harlem, but I didn't have his number. By that time, I was like, yo, man, this footage is so golden. Yo, let's just take it home, man. Let's not risk losing this. This is a moment you cannot capture again. That's why everybody who interviewed him after me, if you notice, they tried to capture this. Nobody was able to capture this. So after this interview, I was like, yo, let's just go home, man. Let's just take the footage home, man. Let's take it home. And I called Fendi. I said, yo, Fendi, man, this might be one of those ones. He was asking me to describe it to him. I was like, I can't even describe it to you. Yo, he just went in on any and everybody. Like, he just spazzed. And this is what we got. So salute to Max B. A lot of people say when Max B come home, he should give you an interview. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think they're going to run him around, because at this particular time when I did this interview with Max, nobody wanted to interview him because everybody was scared of the repercussion from Jim. That was for one. For two, everybody thought he wasn't hot enough to do interviews. Everybody was just looking at him as just some kid that was doing, hooks. I know Flex wasn't really rocking with him. K Slay, a lot of Rest in Peace wasn't rocking with him. So me doing this was a rarity. And look what came out. So I just want to say shout out to all the parties involved. Shout out to Fendi, the Come Up DVD, classic shit. Shout out to You Notice that drove me there. Shout out to Kane that was on the camera. And yo, this is what came out of this. But it almost did not happen, because if I didn't have the patience that I had, I was gonna leave. So that's it, man. I just wanted to give y'all a backstory about this interview. If you never saw this interview, this is considered to be the greatest interview in hip hop history of all time. You know, that's not what I say. That's what the people say. And this is just, you know, just one of them ones, man. Like, just one of those ones. Just one of those ones, man. I'll never forget this day ever in my life. So, you know, this cemented me as an interviewer, because I had done a lot of interviews. But when this came out, people was like, yo, your questions, the pace, how you do everything was dope, you know, and that was it. So that's it, man. I'm Doggie Diamonds, man. I hope y'all enjoyed this story time. I got more coming. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you leave a like. Make sure you leave a comment. And I'll leave, if you never saw this interview before, in the description box, I'll leave a link to this interview so you can check it out for yourself. Until next time, I'm out of here. Appreciate y'all. Peace.